Everyone, welcome and thank you so much for joining us for today's event, Sage HRMS and Sage Payroll, the complete HR package. I am Katie Geyer, Customer Success Manager here at BrainCell, and I will be your host for today. Also on the line, we have Danny Martinez, Sage HRMS Field Sales Engineers, who will be demoing the Sage Premium HRMS product and just going over the benefits of connecting payroll and HRMS. Thanks for joining us today, Danny. And we are covering a lot in a short amount of time, so let's jump forward. So we have a few housekeeping items on the agenda. This will be about a 45-minute presentation with audience Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please submit them in the question box. And all attendees will receive this recording after the webinar and a follow-up email following the event. So what will we be discussing today? We'll be talking about the benefits of Sage Premium HRMS and Sage Payroll and how to overcome some of the top HR challenges, which Danny will discuss. He will give us a live demo of the Sage Premium HRMS, and then we'll just end with a quick audience Q&A and wrap up. So for those of you that are new here, welcome. BrainCell is a growth enablement company. We've been in the business for 27 plus years. Our mission is to help companies like yourselves position their people, processes, technology for the fastest path to growth. So in addition to being a Sage Diamond business partner, we specialize in business consulting, data modernization, technology implementation and integration, which includes CRM, custom support and service, marketing automation, BI, and as you know, ERP solutions. So for our first question, are you using an HR software? So yes, Sage HRMS, yes, other, you don't know, or no. Thank you for the answers. Does your HR software integrate with the ERP solution and or your payroll? So yes, for both. Yes, for just your ERP. Yes, for payroll only. I don't know or no. Thank you for your answers there. So premium version of Sage HRMS for Sage Payroll. I will hand this over to Danny to do what you do best.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you for the warm welcome, and I want to thank BrainCell as well. So why am I here today? I am here today to talk about the premium version of Sage HRMS and also Sage HRMS. So if you're on the perpetual version, folks, don't worry. I am here promoting the premium version, which I'm sure you've seen some in-product messaging, or if you've heard from your partner BrainCell about this new version of HRMS. The premium version of HRMS is the latest and greatest. It is a subscription-based model. It is still an on-prem software, but this is the new module, the premium version that Sage is really developing all of the new features and enhancements. So your platform that you have now, yes, we are still supporting it. It is still live. No worries, there is no end of life. It is not going anywhere. We are just promoting the new version because, again, this is where the development is going into. So it is still that on-premise subscription model that allows Sage to focus on more efficient development, making investments in new functionality, enhancements, and product technologies to improve its longevity and scalability. So yes, with the HRMS, you get that control, clarity, and connectivity with Sage HRMS. I'm not going to talk about every feature on this slide here, but I'm sure everyone can see this here on their screen. What is the Sage HRMS core module? What I like to call the mothership of HR. All of your employee data is now managed in a single point of truth. So in the real world, folks, everything happens in HR first, and essentially it gets passed over to payroll and everywhere else within the organization. So with the Sage HRMS core module, you now have that centralized database of all of your employee data, not only employee data, historical records, organization information, manager, supervisor information. You can focus on strategic tasks. You can track benefit information. You have compliance reporting. If you have to report on ACA information, that is out of the box with the new premium version of HRMS. It is available on the perpetual version as well. But with this module, with all of that data that is being captured, you truly have a single point of truth that now ensures you to do that government reporting. So if you have to do EEO reporting, benefit reporting, the affirmative action, or even some compensation reporting, all of that reporting is built into this core module. And what we're going over today is, now that you have this core HR module, if you have these, I want to say today is really catered to Sage 100 payroll customers, but if you have Sage 100 payroll, or if you have Sage 300 payroll, the ERPs, this is a wonderful enhancement, because now you have a true HR module that captures all that data. When these candidates are hired, it is housed and managed in HR, and now synchronizes that information into payroll, so that payroll person now gets the information on an audit report, which brings the data in to your Sage payroll, so they don't have to key the data in. So on this slide here, this is, I like to call the menu of the product portfolio of Sage HRMS. It is a robust suite of modules. It gives you the flexibility to customize HRMS to best suit your needs within your organization. Of course, it starts off with that HR core module I was explaining. You have we have our own out-of-box payroll. It is still the Sage 300 payroll, but it will be embedded in the UI. We have an employee self-service portal. We have benefits enrollment. We have time and attendance. We have the My Workforce Analyzer for the ACA reporting. We have the iRecruit for the applicant tracking. We have HRMS Train, which is in the UI of the module. We have the alerts and workflow. We have HR Analytics. We have HR Actions, which is our paperless office, Benefits Messenger, and as you can see, a very broad cycle of options here that you have in the HRMS portfolio. So why am I here today? I am here today because a lot of these challenges that you folks have within your organization, and this comes from the PwC HR Tech Survey for 2022. So from the statistics, it looks like, well, I don't want to say it looks like, but this is actually fact that has been captured. 39% is focused on HR insights and data analytics. Another 39% of recruiting and hiring. 36% cloud transformation, modernization of HR systems. A lot of people don't have that right now. 28% of learning and development, employee upskilling. 27% of retention of key talent. 24% remote or hybrid work. I want to say that number is probably going to increase here a little bit more. 22% benefits, 19% of diversity, equity, and inclusion, another 19% on employee and manager self-service capabilities, and 16% of compensation. So how do the Sage modules help? So I'm going to jump into a brief demonstration here after I talk about this here. So if you acquire the HR core module, which is where you can manage all of the employee related information and process everything in that single point of truth, you now can open the door to the HRMS payroll. So HRMS has its built-in payroll. Sage 100, again, if you have that, the data will still synchronize, but we do have our built-in HRMS payroll. It is the comprehensive payroll system. We also have the employee self-service. So all of the data that you're housing in that core, that what I call the mothership, you will hear me call the HRMS core the mothership because that is the brain of the software. That is the essential piece that allows a lot of these moving parts to come into the portfolio. So in that employee self-service, whatever you're processing in HR in a core, you can now reveal that data to them in an online portal and their smart devices. Paycheck stubs, HR information, paperless forms, company documents, training information, maybe some other custom third-party websites, requesting time off. Everything is in one area, so the employees have that easy access to get in and out of HR and payroll information on a click of a button. In that same portal, you can do benefits enrollment. So if you're doing information on paperwork right now, or if they're logging into a third party portal, or if you have your broker visiting your campus, why not open that feature up to a virtual open enrollment? Have them go into the same area in the ESS portal, hit the benefits area, and then walk through a guided open enrollment. And it could be tailored to how you're doing your open enrollment now with cafeteria plans. If you have, I don't want to say one of the out of the ordinary, but maybe your open enrollment is a little bit more detailed. A lot of that can be defined in this customizable benefits enrollment. With the benefits enrollment, we also have a piece that talks to your providers. So the benefits messenger can now automate that communication of the employee benefits that are captured during enrollment or life events, even if you're making changes in the core, address changes and updated information with dependents and beneficiaries, but really strict to open enrollment. That information is now captured electronically and sent over in what we call EDI files to these major carriers. Time saving. We have a time and attendance module. The HRMS core does come with an out-of-the-box time off. However, if you're looking for more in-depth where you're capturing using, the time clocks, or if you're doing timesheets, or if you're allowing them to do it on a web clock, or if you're having management enter time or approve time, we have a robust piece called the HRMS time and attendance, where all of that can be captured in that web-based solution, which can be embedded in the ESS portal. So everything again is in one place. The nice part about that time and attendance is the integration into Sage 100 and 300 payroll. We have the HR actions. That's the paperless office I mentioned earlier. So it comes with several out-of-the-box forms. However your processes, your manual paperwork that you're doing in-house, instead of having that paperwork filled out on a desk, or if you're having emailed information, a lot of that goes away now because that is replicated in what we call the HR actions. And what's truly nice is that when the employees log into the employee self-service portal, that can now be situated in we call a dynamic form checklist. Onboarding information, performance reviews, company documentation, acknowledgements, maybe even some offboarding paperwork can now be done in a checklist for electronic approval. We also have the HR analytics, another web-based reporting. Wonderful feature. So running the reports out of the core is wonderful, but however, you have this nice web platform that feeds all that data into the HR analytics. So on demand, if you need EEO reporting, you need performance review reporting, benefit reporting, it is all situated in the HR analytics interface. We also have the alerts and workflow. So whatever you're doing in HR, even in payroll, example, hiring employees, if I hired an employee in my organization, I have an alert going out to the parties that be. The employees welcome aboard. The manager and supervisor now get a record that I've hired an employee. I also to my IT guys, so that person could get a workstation, or maybe they need to put them in the Active Directory, whatever, maybe some uniform, or gosh, even car keys, or whatever they need for their day-to-day operation. Everybody's on the same page with that alert. It can also happen with pay changes, terminations, benefit eligibility. A lot of the logic that you house in HRMS can now monitor and trigger what we call the Sage HRMS alerts and workflow. We have a wonderful applicant tracking and onboarding called the iRecruit. So if you're posting out on the major job boards, Indeed, Career Builders, Monster, all of that information can be captured, brought into the iRecruit. Even if you're doing it off your web page, we can put a link on your web page. So all of that candidate information is captured in the iRecruit. They're uploading their resumes, they're filling out applications, maybe answering knockout questions. You now have the ability to qualify those candidates. Managers and supervisors can see the information and score and rate the employees. If you onboard the employee, that data is now transferred from your applicant tracking seamlessly into HRMS. And if you're using a payroll, that now synchronizes the data into payroll and hires that employee. We also have the My Workforce Analyzer module. So out of the box with the premium version of HRMS, you have the capability of doing the ACA reporting, both the 1094 and the 1095Cs as well. That again, it's built into the core. It is out of the box with the premium version. It is also available for perpetual customers as well. In the core module, we also have the HRMS train. So if you need to manage the data for your training programs out of the core module, there is a capability to manage that information. They can enroll in online classes, online in the ESS portal for available classes. They can also see certifications and historical records of training taken within your organization. So folks, another reason why I'm here today is to let you know that there is a faster and simpler way to integrate HR with Sage 100 Payroll. This is a wonderful piece. So if you currently have the Sage 100 ERP with Payroll, if we truly acquire the HRMS module, everything is going to happen in HR first. All of the data is managed in HRMS. So when you hire your employees, you'll be putting their pay rates, maybe some benefit information, everything that is critical to payroll, you're putting it in HR, and a lot of that information is now synchronizing into payroll. So if you hire that new employee, it is passed over to payroll. They see that you have hired someone in HR, and that information is now brought into Sage 100. It hires them. So it lessens the key entry into Sage 100. Not only does it make that part easier, but from government compliance, you now have everything centralized in HR. So you now improve your efficiency. It integrates and streamlines your HR process. And now you can focus on strategic tasks and make better decisions faster with the HRMS core module. How does it work? So the Sage 100 payroll link, this comes with the Sage HRMS platform. It's with the core module, it would have to be implemented because we have to tie the company databases. So we would tie your HRMS company to your payroll company. So we make sure for reporting purposes and also that seamless integration, they're going from one platform. I don't want to say platform, but they're going from one software to the other. So it'll go from HRMS into your Sage payroll. That's the seamless connectivity. It eliminates the duplicate data entry. So when employee settings and data fields are populated in Sage 100 and Sage HRMS, all future addition changes and updates are entered into HRMS, eliminating that duplicate data. It reduces errors. So once you transfer the employee updates from Sage HRMS to Sage 100, you can run audit reports in Sage 100, in the utility I'm talking about here, to identify employee information. Maybe there's discrepancies between the two systems. It captures that information before you bring it over into payroll. If you find those inconsistencies, they can be addressed in HRMS, and then the transfer can happen into the payroll. You also manage your employee records in a single location. So this is the biggest takeaway here. You can easily manage all your employee records in Sage HRMS and quickly transfer information to Sage 100 Payroll. Deductions and earnings, you are able to automatically create, inactive, and update payroll employee deductions and earnings associated with HR benefit plans, employee elections, and premiums. So essentially what happens, again, you have that HR core module. Now that information is captured there first, and it's transferred over to payroll. They see it on a report, they click a button, and it comes right in. They don't have to key the data. And it's an easy setup. So working with BrainCell, you have that entire HRMS team behind you. So the Sage 100 payroll link is easily set up in a couple of steps. You can automatically populate a new HR database with employee data from your existing Sage 100 payroll system. to Sage HRMS, saving time and reducing mistakes in the initial transfer. So whatever you have in Sage 100 Payroll now, that link can pick that information. It'll transfer it from Sage 100 one-shot deal into HRMS, and then moving forward, HRMS becomes a single point of truth and transfers it into Payroll. And folks, again, faster, easier connection. Payroll setup detail pages. You have job and labor codes that can be mapped, tax information fields, transferring of employee updates, transferring of time off transactions into Sage HRMS, and probably one of the biggest things here is transferring pay history. So if you don't have an ESS portal now, why not acquire this HRMS core module so they can now take that information, the history, and transfer it into the ESS portal so they can see those pay stubs online. Folks, I think I'm ready to jump in. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And folks, let me know if I'm in business here. Can everyone see my core module here?
Looks good.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Katie. So folks, as I was just talking about all that information on those slides here, this is, I'd like to jump in and show more of a high level live demo of what to expect with the HR software. So I am the HR director. I am logged in here as a master user. My company has given me those permissions to log in here. So these are my day-to-day operations here within the premium version of HRMS. The screen that I'm on right now is my employee roster. I have a fairly small company of 53 employees, but what's nice about this software is that it keeps not only my active information, but also my terminated information. I also have access to employees that are out on leave of absence and maybe some other employees that I want to track here in HR. I don't necessarily pay them. Maybe they're contract employees, maybe some other kind of employees that I have to have the record in HR, which I can do because we have the capability here. You don't necessarily have to pay them, but you can have them in another status. The way the software works is that it looks at everybody who is active and anybody out on leave of absence. Terminated and other does not play on the subscription of HRMS. What I truly appreciate about the software, and Veronica is always my guinea pig here, so I use her day in and day out. This is probably my best friend. I've been doing it, using her profile here for about 13 years now. So she's probably one of my oldest employees in my software. But with the core record, what I truly appreciate about the software is the easy functionality, the easy of navigation, the user friendliness, and the way the data is situated in the core record. When you come in as an HR user, you want to be able to click and navigate through areas to view demographic data, to view personal records. Maybe you have to look at social securities. Maybe you need to look at EEO reporting, marital status, or gender information. Gosh, maybe you just need to even, get the face of the employee because you're expecting an appointment with them and you want to be able to see who you're looking at because you have control over that in HR. You also have quick access to HR status. So at any point you need to view hiring dates or last hire dates or adjusted seniority or time off service information or even who the recruiter was, you can capture that here in the HRMS core. Employment eligibility screens. Maybe you have to capture visas and I-9s, or maybe you need re-verification dates. You need the documentation that has been satisfied. That data can be housed. This comes out of the box with the HRMS core. A lot of areas that I like quick access to is also termination information. So maybe some termination dates, employee type, termination types. This can all be customized to your organization. So it does come out of the box, but some of this information can be tailored to a lot of your reasons and different types that can be uploaded into the software during implementation. There's areas of leave of absence. So if you need to see when they're out on leave, when they're scheduled to do return to work or due back, or if you need an actual return date, that can be housed in HRMS. One of my biggest features that my payroll customers like about having the HR core module is the events area. So in my world, I was tracking COVID. So I had COVID test results. I have some customers that track training. I have customers that track licensure. Some of them have drivers out in the field. So it is a job requirement to make sure they're on top of those driver's license dates. That information can be housed under the events panel. An event is anything that happens on your employee, training, certificates, licensure, whatever is due to expire, and you have to know about this in HR because this could be something that puts the company at halt, especially a driver in a field. You got product going out, and there it is, their license is expired. They didn't know about it, you didn't know about it. However, you have this nice HR software that is monitoring that data, looking at the next due date, and now can trigger an alert, which can be an email, perhaps a text message saying, hey, you have training coming due. The next step is maybe they got to go get the driver's license renewed. They need to fulfill a harassment training, or gosh, even if you require a re-exam on COVID testing. Wonderful feature that comes out of the box with HRMS. You can also upload all of your attachments. So anything you need, resumes, OSHA certificates, I-9s, whatever you need, company documentation, instead of running to the filing cabinet, you can upload it into HRMS and you can download it right through the software as well. One of the critical areas of having that Sage 100 or 300 payroll is capturing that job and pay information. So all of the current pay starts here in HRMS. When you hire employees, you'll be capturing this data here. You'll have your pay frequencies. You'll have built-in salary assignments as well. You have pay and performance information as well. But what's truly nice about this is the synchronization into your Sage 100 or your Sage 300. Not only does it synchronize, but it also captures job historical information. So I have data going back to when I hired the employee, prevailing increases, performance reviews, FMLA leave, maybe if you're rehiring them, promotions, everything is tracked in job history. This is one of the areas when my Sage payroll customers say, gosh, I got to do custom reporting. I got to look at all of these different historical data. Guess what? In HRMS, this creates a record at any time you use the widget and you're updating job history or you're upgrading pay. It is capturing it here. These are the snapshots, but you can also run reporting against this as well, some analytics. Another nice feature with the Sage 100 is the ability to start the Sage 100 payroll setup here in the HRMS core. So this screen may look familiar from the Sage 100, but you do have the ability to capture the payroll status. You could capture the federal, you could capture the state, and also local if I had that turned on. Another feature that my payroll customers truly appreciate with the HRMS core module is the ability to track benefits. So the rule is captured in the HRMS core module. So all of your company cafeteria plans, benefit plans, everything is defined here in HR. You have the effective expiration dates, the coverage, all of the information that you're currently tracking these plans with are now managed here in HR. If you're truly using this piece here and you wanted this information to update the deduction codes in payroll, if we were to map these fields with the link I was talking about, when open enrollment, excuse me, open enrollment, life events, changes, whatever you're doing in HR, being that this talks to payroll, whatever happens here, it'll create an historical record, but it'll also pass over that information and update those corresponding deduction codes in payroll. This is out of the box with HRMS. If you don't use this, of course, you can continue using your third party, but it is a nice feature to have it in-house because you have quick snapshots of the plans. If I detail one here, you could detail the record. You can get in depth on the eligible dates, coverage end dates, when was the last change amount. You can also see a snapshot of the rule for the cost and coverage. And at any time, if you need to change this information, being a master user, I can come in and update this information. It'll make my fields available. I can make the change, and that change can now correspond to payroll. You can also look at covered dependents, and if assigned beneficiaries were part of that, you would be able to see that as well. What's nice about this here is, yes, you have the detail of the plans, but you also have the reporting and analytics behind it as well. And you get snapshots of any historical records here in HR as well. So you can see what has changed. Maybe there were increases involved. You have all that data accessible in HRMS. Same thing goes for savings benefits. So you have saving benefit plans. So I have my 401ks, my 401k catch-ups. You have all of the detailed information, including the employer contribution, another feature that can be passed over to the codes in payroll. And of course, dependents and beneficiaries. So I can see all of the children, the spouses, I can see where they're enrolled in benefits. And there's also a wellness area. So if you have to track COVID, or if you have to track wellness or drug tests, even documentations from doctors, you could track that in HRMS. Another nice feature in the core module is the ability to track OSHA claims. So anything that has happened within the organization, if you're using a third party for this, the compliance is built into the software. So this is the exact layout of the OSHA incidents. Plus, you can upload the attachment and download it right through the software. But the concept is that, again, you have that single point of truth. You have everything in HR. You have your OSHA claim, your OSHA incident, and you can report against this. There is a out-of-the-box report that creates a file that you can upload to the corresponding organization. You can also track workers' compensation as well. So if you needed to do a claim, you can put that reference here in HRMS. So I'm going to stop here for 1 second, and all of this information that I showed you here, remember, this is the back office module. This is the core mothership. Now that I have all this data here, I'm ready to reveal this to my employees in the online portal. And I highly encourage this piece, because if you have the Sage 100 payroll or the Sage 300 payroll, you now empower your employees to use this online tool to access everything that you want in HR and payroll. What's nice about this here is that this is a complete self-serve. Once I hire that record in HRMS, I could perhaps have an email or sent out to Katie and say, Katie, welcome aboard. Welcome to the team. Welcome to BrainCell. I have instructions. I need you to fill these particular forms out. Whatever you need that person to navigate to, they can now access it through the employee self-service portal. Katie can come in and she can create her own username and password, because I already have her hired in HR. All I need her to do is come in and create the credentials, authenticate back to my HR core record. Once that is all created, voila. He or she gets in. They now have access to everything I was just describing to you that you want to reveal from your HR core. It's truly nice because they can view, I don't open up this particular area, but they can view information, and you folks in your organization can truly go paperless. So at any given time, Katie can come in here and update her address. She can update her phone number. There are quick links that take you right to the area. Emergency contacts, phone numbers. Maybe she needs to go in and look at those events because they need reminders of company trainings or licensure. Maybe I need to come in here and I just quickly need to see what my current benefits are. I can see the total deduction that comes out of payroll. And in my organization, I open up the employer contribution because I want the employee to see that, look, as the employer, we're taking on pretty much the chunk of the cost here. There's also a piece to do an open enrollment. So with the benefit plans being defined in the HR core, I am now allowing my employees to come in and do what we call a guided enrollment. This is a wonderful feature in the premium version of HRMS. Anyone on this call today that uses the perpetual version of HRMS with the ESS portal and the benefits enrollment, yes, the look is different. This is the new enhancement in the premium. So This is one of the highlights here in the premium version of HRMS. They've really focused on this new enhancement here. Completely different look. It is a guided open enrollment, so you physically see where you're at in the process. They've used the entire real estate on the screen. It is so easy to use and understand where you're enrolled, where you're not enrolled, and then you're walking through the guided enrollment. So you can make your elections however you have it defined. You can correspond your dependents. You can look at your benefit summary. It's just an easier navigation, and there's built-in warning, so it's not a guessing game. It's letting the employee know that this requires this requires that. All of that can be done here in a guided open enrollment. One of the biggest features here, I know I'm concentrating on a lot of these nice HR, but the reason why I'm here today is because with Sage 100 and Sage 300 as well, one of the biggest things here is having that pay history. I don't know how you're doing it now. Maybe you're doing it with Print Boss, you're having the stuff emailed. Maybe you're printing out the advices and putting them in the old-fashioned cubby holes, or if they're coming into payroll, and however you're doing it. This is probably the safest way to do it now, especially going into 2023. You have this platform that is, safe on the back end. The data is encrypted. You now have this ESS portal where your final result of your payroll is brought into the ESS portal. And you see how easy it is to navigate, easy to go from HR data, benefits, and gosh, I can go right into my employment and look at my pay history. I could look at the period end and period start and end date, the check number, my hours, wages, deductions, taxes, my net pay. Or maybe it's over the weekend and I don't have time to bother any. I mean, nobody's at the office because we shut down probably 5, 6 o'clock on Friday, and that's it. So if I'm going to apply for a loan or a car, I want to be able to have quick access. Sometimes they need a month or 2 months worth of paycheck stubs. Yes, it sounds old-fashioned, but it's still out there. We want to be able to have and furnish those check stubs. And you folks, as an organization, you control how much data you'd like to reveal, how much pay history. I keep pages worth. I mean, you can have a limitation here, but I want my employees to see, look, as an organization, look how easy it is to go in here and get that pay history on demand. If I'm using a smart device, I'm at that car dealership, they said, look, I need to just see pay history, or I just need to know how much you make. This optimizes to a smart device so I can capture that information on my cell phone, on a laptop, on a tablet, working out in the field. I have quick access. So this is probably one of the customer favorites of my Sage 100 and Sage 300 payroll, that ability to access it online electronically. Another piece, of course, is, perhaps performance review information. A lot of these different menus, you control them. HRMS comes with this information out of the box. When you roll this out, you don't necessarily have to have all of this information out available. You could do it in phases. If you acquire it, maybe you just want pay history. Maybe you just want the personal information. You can also control the menus. Oh, another big point that I need to talk about here is the ability to do what we call an HR actions. When I say an HR action, this is what I was talking earlier on one of those slides about the paperless office. In the ESS portal, we have the HR actions, but what I have brought up here is what we call the dynamic form checklist. Wonderful feature. This is really where you're talking about that complete HR package. You can now empower the employees to go in online and do onboarding information. Maybe the condition is now company training. Maybe the condition is performance reviews. Maybe the condition is acknowledgements, offboarding. Folks, I have all these menus open right now because I want you to see up front what is capable to do for your employees electronically. And these could be email alerts going out, say, hey, look, you just onboarded, I just hired Katie. Katie has to come in, she has to do her I-9, she's got to do her W-4. I need direct deposit information. Maybe I want to start some annual goals. Maybe I have a list here of 20 documentations. I'm providing this to my employee in an easy checklist, which they fill out electronically. now goes to a sequence of approvers, or maybe it's one of those forms that you don't need an approval. Whatever the approval is, the process, or whoever the final approver is, this data now corresponds into your HR core, and if it's payroll related, can now pass over to your payroll module. Company training. Instead of having all this content or even a third party, or maybe they're looking at videos, they can look at company training. They can watch videos. Maybe you want a link to an embedded video, whichever. It's truly customizable. Example, OSHA training. I have guys that wear hard hats in the field. I have to have that OSHA training. They can come in here during the company training time. The condition is they get the email alert. It's company training. I have these 4 or 5 videos. They need to come in here. I need them to electronically sign off. Of course, look at the video first, then electronically sign off. And now I see in HR that it has been completed. Performance reviews. Sage HRMS HR Actions comes with templates for performance reviews. So if you are doing a paper process right now of them filling out appraisals or getting with their manager and they're sitting in front of each other, or whatever the process is now, if it's a manual process, why not recreate that appraisal here in the HR Actions, and they can view it and electronically fill it out in an online appraisal? What's nice about that appraisal, it is truly customizable. You can have questions, they can write in comments, however you want to create this documentation. Maybe you have embedded links. This information now goes to the manager and supervisor. You may have a 360 feedback. Whatever the situation is, we can create that process. The manager is within the entire process. Maybe there's 4 managers within the entire process. This now passes along to the parties that be, so everybody gives their feedback. Whether it's a positive review, a negative review, the data is captured and the final result is satisfied and refreshed into your HR core. If there's a pay increase involved, we can make a pay increase involved in that, because there are forms for pay increases that are electronic as well. Company acknowledgements, handbook acknowledgements, confidentiality and non-disclosure agreements. Maybe you have other non-compete electronic forms. The employees, if it's that condition time, I know tons of my employers have that handbook acknowledgement once a year. So instead of getting that manual, have it here in an HR action, have them view it, sign off, it's sent back to HR for approval, it's done. Simple process. Another piece I do in my organization is offboarding. So if an employee gave me a 2-week notice and I put that data in to my core record, now I may have an alert going out saying, look, I have, Katie offboarded. I need her to fill out these particular documents. Maybe I need a forwarding address. Maybe she has company car keys, laptop, assets, whatever you have to get back from that employee, because we all know these are assets. Once you cut that last check and that employee has left with assets, sometimes it's difficult to obtain that information and get it back. Why not have that HR, because you're capturing that data in HR, you now have the employee acknowledging that they have it. They can furnish you with, again, forwarding information, equipment return, they're giving it back. Once this is satisfied, perhaps payroll now gets a notification that it has been collected, and now you can cut that last check and fully terminate that employee. So as you see, team, whatever you have going on, this comes with several out-of-the-box forms. Whatever you're doing manually now, I know I'm showing you some examples here, the I-9, the W-4, the Payroll Direct, a lot of this is out of the box, but think of what you would like in these dynamic checklists for your employers, guys, to make life easier. I mean, going into the year 2023, the idea here is to use the technology, kind of ditch the paperwork, and allow these employees and empower them to do things electronically. Look, this module is probably one of my favorite within the HRMS core. When I present this, it's killer, because I have the HR person on the call saying, oh my God, your onboarding list is only 5 documents for? Try 25. Why not recreate that here? And remember, this is all by condition. So I have this open to show you an example of what can be in menus. But again, if it's onboarding, they see those conditions. Company training, they'll come in here, they'll see that condition, and those forms are available. Another nice thing that I'd like to point out in the core record, there's internal, in the ESS portal is internal communications. So if you want to put links to third party, if you want to do YouTube testimonials, if you have a message from your CEO, or even if you have some training videos on how to use this module or company announcements, you can use this kind of like your company intranet. So if you find yourself having multiple websites and URLs and this and that, put everything in this single point of truth. So when the employees are looking at their personal, or if they're looking at their electronic forms or paycheck stubs, all of that is built into the ESS portal. Even if you're using the timekeeping module, that can be embedded in here. Even if you're using a third party, NovaTime, or if you're using something that is not in the HRMS portfolio, we can have that here in the ESS portal, and now the employees access in one area and not all of those URLs. Another feature, and I did not mention this here, the time off, HRMS core comes with the time off. You can manage PTO, you can manage time off plans, sickness, vacation, you can even manage FMLA. In the ESS portal, this is a nice feature here. And again, to my perpetual customers, look at the nice enhancement that they made here in the premium version of HRMS. They use the entire real estate of the screen. Everything is situated now in a tile format. It's easy to use, it's user-friendly, and it makes sense. And there's a calendar here. They can request time off. If I truly had PTO approved, this thing would be lit up like a Christmas tree. But I can detail plans. I can look at the calendar view. I can request time off. This can now go for approval to my manager. The transaction, if it's approved, now feeds into the HRMS core, so I don't have to key that data in. It just makes life a lot easier for the employees to see what they have up front as time off. I know when I work somewhere, two things that are important to me: PTO, paycheck stubs, of course, a healthy environment, but when I want to look at time off, I want to hop into a portal quickly, and I want to look at my paycheck stubs quickly. I don't want to have people intervene. I don't want to have to call HR. Nowadays, we do not want to pick up a phone. If we're picking up a phone, we're going on Facebook or we're going on our payroll app to look at PTO, and we're looking at our paycheck stubs or a text message. But folks, this is one of the nice features that they've truly enhanced the entire portal, but the functionality of the time off, the functionality of the electronic forms, the functionality of the guided open enrollment. By the way, everything that I'm showing you here, this is the employee view. Those managers and supervisors also have their menus that correspond. So those time off, the employee view, they had their view, but the manager also has their view as well. So whatever direct reports that you have defined in the core, they now see that in their menu. So they can see, Donna example here, she's got some vacation days. This is just an example. There is a legend here on the bottom that does explain the different types, whether they're partial days, rejected, pending, however you have those defined. This essentially will be lit up like a Christmas tree with all of the different legend items. It's very easy access because they could shuffle through the months. So this is the time off. But also too, if you want to reveal employee profiles, I can reveal that here in the ESS portal. See, the purpose here is to truly give and empower those managers now to go on a portal and interact even more with their employees, because now you're revealing that data to them in an online portal. They no longer have to bother HR. They no longer have to borrow the payroll, because you're revealing the information to them in an online portal. And remember, you don't have to open up everything. It is truly your choice. I have everything open here for examples, employee profiles. Maybe you're giving them access to compensation. Maybe you're giving them access to job performance reviews. They can even write notes back to HR. So let's say, gosh, maybe Katie had a bad day, or maybe Carson had a bad day, or maybe you need to brag about something that happened. They have a kudo. You want to give them a high five. You could write a note back to HR according to the term. Again, disciplinary action. Maybe you have a work improvement, maybe a performance, or just to brag about the employee. You can write a note back to HR. So now that information is passed over to them and it's recorded in your core module. You have education, skills, events, even length of service. So a lot of times this is a guessing game. A lot of times the managers and supervisors have to ask for this information, but being that you're revealing it on an online portal, they don't necessarily have to be on campus. They could be out in the field, or they could be at home working, and now you're giving them the critical information that they need. One last piece is nice too, is direct report information. So there is an out of the box that can see everybody that reports to Veronica. So this is another piece as well in the ESS module. And of course, you can customize a lot of these menus. And maybe if you want to bring the HR actions, maybe they want to look at statuses on where those forms are at, or if they have to intervene, that information can also be revealed to them in the ESS portal, almost like the dynamic form checklist, but it would be more of a manager supervisor checklist. But folks, I'm going to be conscientious of the time here. It is 1:51. I think I want to say that I got some of the point across on the core module and also on the ESS. I highly encourage any of the Sage 100 and Sage 300, please get in contact with Katie. I can do one-on-one demos. I can tailor a demo to how your organization operates. Please definitely get in contact with Katie and let's make it happen.
Yeah, Danny, thank you so much. That was incredibly informative, and I know I just appreciated that comprehensive overview. One of, I think, the big takeaways too is that it just provides so much flexibility for companies and time savings as well. So thank you for that. That was great.
Yes,
And we're just going to open it up to a few Q&As if you have a moment here.
sure.
Looks like we already have some questions. And first one would be, does Sage HRMS have the capability to manage terminated employee records? And I think you did go over that quickly, but maybe
It
you can.
does. Yes, it does. That's one of the nice features of the core HRMS. So yes, it works with the active and leave of absence, but
Mhm.
anytime you terminate an employee, that record is living in there almost like if they're an active employee, but they're terminated status. So just because they're terminated, you still can look at all of the information of that terminated employee. Not
Great.
only that, there's a widget built in to rehire the employee if they came back on board.
Okay. Wonderful. All right. So next question was, how does the implementation work for HRMS when we already have Sage 100 in place? And this could go for Sage if someone had Sage 300 as well.
Sure. So any of the 100 customers, what we do is with the Sage Payroll link, it is designed to take the data from the Sage 100 Payroll and bring it
Mhm.
into HRMS. Of course, the tool would have to be, the payroll link would have to be implemented because we do have to map the companies and org levels and
Mhm.
codes that, to match in payroll. But even with Sage 300 customers, we use the payroll link. So we would have to implement that, bring the employees into HRMS, and moving forward, the data will be entered into HRMS into your Sage payroll. And the
Okay.
implementation process, I've seen, gosh, for the HR core module, I've seen 2 months, I've seen 3 months. If you have all hands on deck, it could probably be a faster implementation. So it really just
Okay.
relies on how much we have resource wise.
Great. All right. And is HRMS a native cloud solution?
So it is not. It is just like the perpetual. So it is an
Mhm.
on-premise. It is designed on-premise. The backend is a SQL server. If you acquire the ESS, the online portal, you would have to have a web server. But it is all on-premise. It is a SQL database. However, a lot of my customers, they do not have it locally installed on their network. So
Mhm.
a lot of them with BrainCell, or maybe even if they have a third-party hosting company, the
Hosting. Okay.
platform, it can be hosted so it can give that cloud feel and it's not on their network.
Good. Good. Okay, so I think we just have one more question before we wrap up. Can employees access the employee self-service portal outside the organization?
You can. So
Okay.
most of my customers open it up. So it would be during the implementation, they will show you how to securely open up on your network. So outside the organization, like I was showing here today,
Hmm.
they can access it with their credentials safely. Whatever you reveal, they can update. So yes, it can. And if you do that, you're now allowing them to also view it on their smart devices as well.
Yeah, that's great. That
Mhm.
just provides so much flexibility for everyone.
It
So,
does.
well, thank you, Danny. I love your enthusiasm for this product, and I hope that our customers out there, take a look at it because it seems like a wonderful solution for to hit all those pain points that they might have. Um, Not sure if you had anything else you wanted to add before we just like thank everyone for being here, but appreciate your time. Danny and I are so glad that you could all join us today. You will receive a recording of this event in your mailbox inbox tomorrow morning, and we will follow up with everyone individually to make sure if you have any other questions, they could be answered. And as Danny mentioned earlier, if you want your own personal Sage HRMS demo, we'd be glad to do that. Just reach out to us directly at growth@braincell.com, or you can email your CSM directly. So thank you everyone so much for coming out today. Thank you again, Danny, and have a great week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Danny. Bye-bye.
Bye bye now.